Well, sleeping through another night. Life seemed to be going alright here. I felt like I might have made too many potatoes as I was eating some pemmican. But they were getting close to ready, so I went with it. It's time to get these walls finished, so I had some proper security around. Seemed like a far walk to go back and eat at my table. Much as I hate eating without a table, that's what it did. A whole block back and forth, getting these walls stood up. And it was going right well. I was making great progress. I got a request from a prisoner who was being held captive. I didn't really have the means to go get her, and my base wasn't secure. So I let it go. Anybody that shows up here, I'm going to try and take care of. But those that don't, just going to have to fend for themselves. I'm working on a little more power for myself. To get my bedroom finished would be nice. And I was contemplating how nice it was all going to be when done. I'd be toasty warm, have some light. My next meal got me sick. Pemmican must not have cleaned up my cooking area well enough. Something got in there. That's the breaks. Feeling ill, I made a few more stone blocks. I decided to tidy up the kitchen storage area, get all my meals properly stacked. Then I was off to bed. While laying, chunks of spacecraft crashed nearby. There was quite a few of them. I was going to get some good and much needed resources out of that. So I was happy. Right about that time a caravan arrived. As I was sitting down, eat a little more pemmican against my better judgment. It was high time I did a little cleaning as well. The caravan just came in, made themselves at home, as I got sick from my food again. Had to take down some roofs. They were blocking one of my turbines yet. Then I decided to talk to the caravan leader. Despite not feeling well, it was my only real option. There was all kinds of stuff I could have bought. In the end, I just sold a bunch of stuff that I'd gathered. Animal skins, cloth that had fallen down out of the sky, and then I set out to deconstruct them ship chunks. Hamlet, good dog that he is, was running around hauling stuff for me, trying to help me out. I wasn't feeling well. Once the ship chunks were all deconstructed, there was only a little bit of steel left. Hamlet had left me, so I got to hauling that in. The caravan was trampling my potatoes pretty bad. Wasn't much I could do about it though. On the way out, they did leave me a gift, some proper medicine. Well, that was right nice of them. I must have made a good impression. Did a little bit of cloud watching. Stars are out, clouds floating by. I took that medicine on inside. After that, it was time to get to bed, which was difficult because I was barfing everywhere. I laid in bed, sweating, feeling sick, not doing well at all. And around that time, a refugee was being chased, Kai. She reached out to me, asked for help. She wasn't walking too fast, seemed like a bit of a slowpoke to me. But it is my new motto. Try and help everybody out, make the world a better place. She was being chased by some fella, Bumblebee or something, I don't know. Looked like a pretty decent fighter. Wasn't wearing much. Running around with his junk flopping everywhere. So, got my pistol ready. I told Kai, run around, have him chase after her. And I'd see if I could take him down. And maybe we could get him to a point where he'd go down. We could talk some sense to him. Cut him loose. So she was running around. I started laying into him with that submachine gun. My aim wasn't what it should have been, that's for sure. But I did manage to eventually get a couple shots on him. I also managed to get some shots on my wind turbines. B was chasing after Kai. frothing at the mouth. I don't know what she had done to make him so mad, but must have been something, huh? She claimed he was just nuts. Eventually he started coming after me. Given how sick and slow I was, I decided I better get out of there. He was riddled with holes. Fortunately, she lured him away again. I was able to give him the business. Down he went. He did indeed end up dying. I let Clyde take his knife. I decided to get some of my potatoes hauled in that had been laying in the dirt. Clyde plucked a couple of them for me. Did a right better job than I ever could. She didn't fat finger the whole thing. She was so happy, having been saved, now being armed, she left me a right nice silk t-shirt. She wasn't happy when I asked her to leave. I was a little sad to see her go. It'd be nice to have a companion for the short term. My food poison is finally going away. I decided just to eat some raw potatoes, rather than risk that pemmican again for the minute. And with the potatoes done, thought maybe I'd make some more pemmican. Before I did my best to dig a grave, bury that beef fella so he wasn't laying around rotting up the place. After I got him in the ground, sure did start getting hot. As I was tossing horseshoes, I was contemplating why I was wearing a parka. I also figured it'd be a nice idea to put a little cooler in my bedroom, some of the other areas I always hang out in. So I threw horseshoes for a while. Decided to make a little more pemmican since I had the meat and potatoes. I got to working on my air conditioning units. It's nice to have the skills to be able to build stuff. Once the bedroom unit was done, I was back off to bed. The wind cooled down a bit, but that's alright. Hamlet likes to run around like a mad dog, taking care of stuff for me. He could tell I'd been down and out. His help's always appreciated. First thing in the morning, didn't get up early, but I was off to get them potatoes out of the ground. After that caravan had trampled so many of them, I found most of them damaged. I was having a hard time getting anything useful going. Plus I was still sick, throwing up all over the place. Fortunately it was raining. I didn't like being soaking wet, but my barf got cleaned up. About that time, I'm not sure what happened. I caught a headache, my mind snapped, and I fell down. I woke up in bed. Pretty sure Hamlet had hauled me there. He's such a good dog. I left my gun laying in the dirt. And I was getting pretty hungry, despite all the sickness. I don't think I've ever barfed so many times in my whole life. Did my best to hork down a meal, a little more pemmican, crossing my fingers, wouldn't get sick again. If that happened, I think I'm just going to take it all and throw it out. After having a little bit of food, I went back to bed. As soon as I got up, I grabbed my gun. Don't want to leave that sitting too long. And then I sat and chilled out for a while. Planned on doing some cleaning. And I was feeling much better, so that was fantastic. Good night's sleep does a man a lot of good. I was back to working on potatoes, trying to get all them plucked out of the ground. I was going to have quite the supply. I was feeling rather inspired. Wanted to work on some human bodies, do some operations, but that wasn't really an option considering no one else was around. I worked on planting new potatoes on into the night. As it started to cool off a bit, I left the old potatoes laying around, which probably wasn't the best play as I went to bed. And when I got up, it was right back to planting potatoes. There's a whole lot to put in here. As I was doing that, I heard some transport pods shoot down. Looked like some kind of medical supply. Seemed like it's probably worth something. I headed out, top speed. It's nice to be out and about in the world, not feeling sick. a little bit of a mission in mind here. So I nabbed them, brought them back in, tossed some more horseshoes. Still my favorite pastime. Planting potatoes and training Hamlet. I noticed he had stopped helping out with the hauling. Had to show him how to do that again. After another meal, last of the potatoes were in the ground. And I had a whole bunch of stuff I could cook up. That's what I worked on. Occasionally doing some cleaning, a little bit of cooking again, and then I was off to bed. Another day had passed. Next morning, I had a good meal. I was running around, tidying up. Decided I was going to cook for a while. As I was cooking, a little squirrel showed up. He decided he wanted to hang out. Sadly, I don't need another mouth to feed, so I had to put him down. We do have the potatoes for it, but I don't have the time to be messing with yet another animal, considering Hamlet keeps me pretty busy. So a little cooking, a little sitting. I butchered up that squirrel. I spent a whole lot of time cooking. And then, right inside my walls, some figs came down. A whole lot of them. I finished cooking up the meal I was working on. Ran over and nabbed all them, as they were pretty close. Hamlet would enjoy those, and so would I. Started cooking them up right away into some pemmican. Then I decided might be best to start working on my security again. So that's what I set to next. A couple doors were in order, and there were some trees that needed to come down to make that happen. I cut those trees out, finally got around to repairing my walls, turbines that had been shot up when B was running around, and then I was off to bed once again. Another good night's rest. I felt like doing a little bit of mining. Worked on my bedroom for a spell, and decided I was going to need a whole lot of steel if I was going to make all these traps. And it's always nice to have light. You don't want to be standing around trying to mine in the dark. That just sounds like a dangerous prospect. So I mined and mined and mined while Hamlet hauled the steel away for me. Eventually took a break, throw some more horseshoes, then back to mining. I sure was a busy guy out here, but eventually I got all that mined, and I was so tired I just went straight off to bed. Next morning's breakfast was raw potatoes. After that, I was going to make my last couple doors, get my security solid. Built the door, ate a little pemmican, once again crossing my fingers that I didn't get sick. And when the doors were done, I set the outside ones to be open again. I was off to a little mining. My bedroom had some space that could be claimed. But it occurred to me those traps are going to be far more important than making a bigger bedroom, which I don't really need anyways, and I'm happy with my bedroom being small. So I built my traps, feeling good, getting right secure. As I was doing it, some crazy little rat ran in there and exploded, caused fire, damaged my walls, and wrecked the traps that I'd been working on. I butchered them up, got a little bit of meat out of them. I cooked them all up right away so they didn't spoil. I do not want to be sick again. Finished my last couple traps, except for the one that the rat had wrecked. Decided to take a little walk around, do some stargazing. Probably my second favorite pastime, just laying around, watching the clouds go by, watching the stars twinkle. After that, back to bed again. Pemmican in the morning, that was alright, I didn't get sick. I was back to trap building, and my walls were going to need a little repair after that rat had exploded. Another prisoner contacted me, saying they could really use some help. Once again, the base wasn't secure yet. I wasn't looking to get out in the world again. I'd done enough traveling for now. The traps were going in pretty fast, but I ran out of steel. So it's back to mining. Taking breaks just to eat a little bit of pemmican when I could. Between me and Hamlet, we got all that steel hauled back. I got the last 2 traps underway. Sure was gonna feel good. Finally have some legitimate security at this place. I think I like it better than I liked my first little homestead here on this horrible planet. Once the traps were in, I slept sound, as you could imagine. Felt good to be safe. Not gonna be threatened tonight. As I was sleeping, I decided I was gonna put a whole lot of wood planking down just to stop any plants and trees from growing up around my wind turbines. It'd be a little bit of work, but I'd never have to worry about these things again. I was gonna need a whole bunch of wood to make it happen. So I planned that as I lay in bed. And then the next morning, I got to working on it. Had a little breakfast. Did a little bit of work. Decided I needed some rest. Sitting there staring at my wall, and a bunch of steel fell out of the sky. It wasn't terribly close, but it wasn't terribly far, and it certainly wasn't going to hurt to have some extra steel on hand. So I decided I was going to make it a priority to get out there and get that. And so did Hamlet, which I did appreciate. I boogied out there, lickety-split, took as much of it as I could. Which only left a tiny bit. When I got back inside, I was putting down that wooden planking. And making right good progress, occasionally stopping to chop some trees down. It'd be nice not to have to worry about these turbines. Stop doing what they're doing, what they're meant to do. Occasionally, man has to eat. That's what I do. In between chopping trees, working on these floors, and hauling wood to the spot. I pretty much worked on that all day, and then I was off to bed. But I was real close to being done. As I slept, a caravan came clanking in. At least now they respect my little boundaries and don't try to enter into my base. So in the morning, I had a little bit of a meal and decided to go speak with these fellas. I sold some leather, sold that t-shirt that girl had left me, and then that was about it. Decided I better not leave my silver laying in the dirt. Went back in my base, finished up the wood planking for the turbines. I decided I was going to put some wood walls in. I could hear some crazy scratching under and around that mountain. I didn't want to know what it was. After the robot situation, best if I don't risk it too, so planned a little bit of wall over there just to fill up the space and block it all off. Took a bit of work, break, threw some horseshoes, which felt right good. The caravan sure was packing some heat, man. They had guns like nobody's business. Decided to sell them some potatoes since I had so darn many, and I had a bunch more that were about to come in. And I made a pretty good amount of money off that too. So that was right nice. After that, back to walling up that section. Try and keep these critters, whatever's going on under the ground, out of here. While chopping trees, I had a lightning strike nearby. But since it was raining, I didn't get really concerned about that. And it wasn't long before I had all the walls blocked off. As I was mining in my bedroom, a lightning bolt hit Hamlet and started my crops on fire. Fortunately, Hamlet was smart enough to go lay down in the right spot, and I got in there and tended him reasonably well before having myself a meal and then heading off to do a little mining in my bedroom. One little chunk and I was off to bed. And Hamlet looked like he's back to his old self again. With security in place, it was time I started doing some research. I was going to have to set some goals, make some progress in that regard, if I was ever going to get anywhere in the world. I'd started working on smithing at my first homestead. After that, a little more cloud watching was in order. Before I get to researching in earnest, I wanted to mine a little more in my bedroom. The weird oblong space making me a little nervous for some reason. I had a manhunter show up. It was a monkey. Just came racing in, frothing at the mouth, making a racket. Now that I had base security though, he wasn't much of a threat, and I figured he'd go down on a trap, and that's exactly what happened. I did decide, despite kind of being weird, humans haven't been monkeys so they claim, I was going to take the meat from this fella. I used up the last my rat meat from the exploding rat, made a little bit of food with the monkey meat, fixed the trap that little bugger had blown up. And then I got back to mining. The bedroom was almost done, so I focused on that first. Cleaned up the mess it had left. And nearby, I had noticed a bunch of silver. That'd be nice. I could make a little wealth out of nothing. See what I could buy next time one of these traders came through. After mining a bit, man gets hungry. Had a little bit of food, did a little bit of cleaning, had a little bit of food, and with a full belly, I was off to sleep. Next morning, right back to mining. There wasn't going to be a lot of silver. Hamlet loves to haul stuff around. So after mining for a few minutes, I was sitting down relaxing. Some fella named Meerkat showed up with a sweet mustache and a marine haircut. Seemed like a good guy, didn't know much about fighting or shooting. He had some money and some meals though. Had himself a knife. But I certainly wasn't going to pick a fight with him, since I didn't have trouble with him. So I just chilled out. He showed up. I explained to him he couldn't stay. So he left me his meals and he left me his money. And I asked him to leave. Which once again, didn't make me too happy. Maybe at some point I'll let someone hang out for a little while. I do have an extra bed. I mined the rest of the day. Got the rest of that silver taken care of. Gathered it all up and brought it in. I was walking through the rain. Wasn't an ideal situation, but here it was. I ate one of those meals that Meerkat had left me. Thought it might be a bit of a gamble, but afterwards I felt fine. I was off to bed with a full belly once again. I had noticed a dead deer in the distance while running around hauling silver, and I decided that'd make a right tasty meal, keep me from having to do some violence. So first thing in the morning, headed out to grab that guy before something else got a hold of it. And despite the rain, I got it hauled in, butchered up, and it was high time to make a bunch of pemmican again, as well as staying on top of keeping that kitchen clean. Perhaps I'd remake those floors something that'd stay a little tidier. It was time to teach Hamlet another thing. Seemed like I was training him how to fight, which I'd hate to see him get hurt, but if I ended up in a bad situation, that could be useful. So I cooked, and I relaxed. Be nice to have a little smoke leaf. Maybe I'll put that on the list. I cooked most of the day, got all my meat used up, and my potatoes were ready once again. Hamlet seemed to love eating them, so I just let it happen. And then I had a bunch of cargo pods shoot down again. Somebody sure must like me, because they sure are sending me a whole lot of stuff. I decided to let it lay for the day. I was off to bed. Somebody phoned me up with a bandit camp quest. How I could get some weird stuff to heal myself should I get ill. I decided to look into that. Sounded like it might be useful. And it was less than a day away, which does sound intriguing. I'm going to debate that one. First thing in the morning, I decided I'd run out and grab what had fallen out of the sky. Found myself a bunch of wool, which would be useful. Right about that time, a war merchant showed up, and I got a little excited thinking I might be able to get a really nice gun. As I was plucking potatoes once again. Hauling potatoes. Then it was off to talk to the war merchant. He had some herbal medicine, and that's really about all I could use. Turns out they were tribals, and they didn't have any proper weapons. As I was working on the potatoes again, a real nice feeling settled over me, and I decided to chuck horseshoes and just feel good for a little bit before getting back to work. I got all those potatoes taken care of, and then I got them all hauled in, and I was sitting on a mountain of those things. I went to bed that night, feeling pretty good. My food's been taken care of. I decided I wasn't going to make as much potatoes as I had in the past. All my power went out. Caught a weird buzzing vibe in the air as I slept. And another fine night was passing.